Welcome to Epic Geek Out, the only show on the internet that traded for magical beans but was too lazy to climb the stalk. I'm your host, Rob.
And I'm your host, Chad, and that's very true. Nice. And today we're talking
I'm also afraid of heights. It wouldn't have worked well, but...
Yeah. Today we're talking about Jack the Giant Slayer.
And on Thursday, we're going to be giving our review of the video game Crisis 3.
As always, you can check us out over at Twitter, at Epic Geek Out. Also, make sure you subscribe to our YouTube channel.
Like us on Facebook, facebook.com/epicgeekout. And also check out the website, www.epicgeekout.com. But let's get into our review of Jack the Giant Slayer. So Jack and the Giant Slayer is directed by Bryan Singer of X-Men fame, the first original two movies. It stars Nicholas Hoult, Stanley Tucci, some others, and is basically just the reimagining of the story of Jack and the Beanstalk. Really, it's a pretty CGI, heavily influenced movie. We saw it in 2D and not in 3D. But Chad, what did you think of the movie?
Yeah, it's pretty mediocre. It's kind of the first big tentpole movie of the year, I guess they're saying.
$235 million,
yes,
I think, to make.
Did not make near that this weekend, unfortunately, for that movie. But yeah, I mean, ever since I saw the first trailer for this, I really just thought it looked, bland, and the CG to me just didn't look good.
Or why do we need this movie to be made?
I wasn't really into it. Mm-hmm. And sure enough, it followed suit pretty much exactly what I thought it was going to be. I mean, it took some interesting liberties on the story, but then it kind of explained it at the end, which I liked that part of it. I thought that the ending was pretty cool.
Pretty quickly I didn't even pick it up until we were talking about it.
Yeah, the ending. Don't want to spoil it. It's a little tag at the end that kind of explains where this falls in line with the traditional tale that you everybody knows, and I thought that was a cool little take on it. But the rest of the movie, which was 99% of the rest of the movie, was just, plain, pretty run-of-the-mill. Nothing really stood out to me as, exceptional. Ewan McGregor, very good in it, which stood out to me a little bit. Stanley Tucci, I really was not impressed with, and he's really usually a great actor, but, I mean, I think it was just his role in this. They didn't write it well at all. I mean, it was an awful villain.
Some things didn't make sense as to...
Well, yeah, the whole plan, per se, didn't make any sense. And also just his villain was very weak and didn't, I don't know. It was just kind of
His villain's kind of a guy that is supposed to inherit the kingdom, but then wants more, which is kind of you're kind of getting a lot.
You're kind of getting
why are
what
you
you
that?
Want.
Why are you...
just wanted to be a jerk, pretty much.
Yeah.
So, overall, yeah, I mean, the CG I thought was awful at parts. I mean, in the beginning, they tried to do this, artsy... thing, sort of like Deathly Hallows and stuff like that, where they're explaining the backstory of the Giants
through an old story, tale, old tale that the children knew.
And it was really, I could have probably done the same kind of animation.
Yeah, I mean,
I don't do animation, so
let me just touch on that for a second too. It looked awful. And maybe it was going to be better in 3D or something, but it really looked so bad on the 2D screen. There was no artistic elements to it. There was no. It was very bad, and that was the opening, and it kind of set the mood, unfortunately, for the movie.
It was basically just 3D models without any texture added to them. So it was basically just 3D models of giants that had one flat color on it. It was just terrible. And from there, I mean, the giant CG I thought it stuck out to me. It didn't look real. The beanstalk looked kind of funny, I thought. I mean, just overall, it just seemed weird and kind of. I see what they were trying to go for by recreating this tale, but I don't think the technology was quite there yet to do what they wanted to do with this. So unfortunately for me, story flat, everything pretty much flat. Nicholas Hoult, is that his name? He did a good job, but other than that, I mean, he nothing crazy. But
I think he was better in Warm Bodies. But
yeah, everybody just kind of bland, really.
Yeah, I think this movie, you kind of just see oh, this is getting made. Maybe they're going to do something with this. But it just really didn't translate to any level that was enjoyable. I mean, it dragged on. It was over 2 hours long. The action scenes weren't really fun for me. A lot of the action scenes they showed you in the trailer, and you see the windmill being taken and thrown, and so you know what to expect. And then in the beginning, it's they can't kill any of the giants, and then they're kind of falling down. It's just like they made the giants so overpowered in the beginning, but then they were able to fight some of them off. And it also just didn't do enough to take the tale and make it differently for me. If I want to, if they're going to take this like storybook kind of thing, I'd like them to go further than what they did and had, even explained why the giants really hated the king so much. I mean, he banished them to the land, but, the giants were kind of biting off the humans' heads and eating them. Kind of seemed like a reasonable thing for us to do. It just didn't have any stakes in it for like the different levels. I think, and I could be wrong with this, but I feel like they miscounted how many beans they showed in the beginning to how many were then used. And just the action scenes were just unenjoyable. Like, it was a lot of humans running from giants most of the time. And, making this one stand where it just didn't, you didn't really care about it. I didn't really like the love story that they did between, the farmhand and the princess. It just didn't really matter to me, I didn't feel. So I was overall, pretty disappointed with it. The 2D, seeing it in 2D opposed to 3D might have hurt it, but I can't see that being the redeeming factor for it. So.
Yeah, because a lot of stuff was story-based that we didn't like.
Yeah.
I will say that the end portion of it, the action picked up for me. I thought it was better. I kind of was like, had a little bit of fun with the end of it, but like a lot of stuff too that didn't make sense.
You saw exactly where it was going, and I think this was really a movie of coincidence. Like, everything had to happen so perfectly. They had to fall on the right part of the stalk when they were falling from it. They had to, everything had to happen so perfectly, or it would have been so different, and that kind of drove me.
And I think like
bit.
they kind of had this along with the bean mess up. If that was the case, I think that they kind of messed up the strength of the giants, because like at one point they're like ripping trees out of the ground, like doing this up, but then they can't pull down the one wooden gate
that's being held by like
8 giants versus
humans.
like 15 humans, and they can't pull down the gate. I mean,
and then also the wood of the bridge doesn't break, but the metal that really held things down broke. It's like, oh, what? Why?
It's the strongest wood ever.
Yeah, so it's just like it didn't really connect on any level for me. I don't know.
I think pretty shallow maybe.
Yeah, run of the mill, which kind of makes me nervous for the next X-Men movie, but we'll see. Just, I don't know. And you could tell this movie was kind of going to be like this because they kept pushing back the release and stuff like that. So, but I don't know.
Check it out, maybe. There's a lot of kids in our showing, so maybe the kids will like it. I don't know.
So this is the part of the episode where we like to give our thanks, make you aware of something geeky that you might not have been knowing about. Chad, what are you thankful for today?
Kind of going back to last week when we reviewed Dark Skies, I've been kind of seeking out some UFO stuff, alien stuff, and something I came back across, which I adored growing up, X-Files, and it's on Netflix, the whole series, which is awesome because there's so many episodes to just watch, and a lot of them are monster of the week, so you can just catch one of them.
Did you see David Duchovny went on one of the shows and pleaded for fans to write in for a third movie?
Yeah, and unfortunately, like, I loved the first X-Files movie, but the second one not so much because it really didn't follow in the whole conspiracy stuff. And I'm like, if you're gonna bring a movie back 10 years after the fact, like, make it tie in with the actual plot of the overarching of the show.
Tell us who the smoke monster. Oh wait, wrong show.
Yeah, right. So yeah, great show if you're into any kind of supernatural stuff. It's also a really good character show, I think. Gillian Anderson, David Duchovny, really good in it. So it has to do with monsters, aliens, stuff like that. So check it out. If you have been living under a rock and you haven't seen it, it's on Netflix, so check it out.
Yeah, so I'm going to thank something that I think is really cool. Geek and Sundry, which is another great YouTube network, which is run by Felicia Day. They have announced recently that they're going to be doing an international tabletop day on March 30th, where you can go to their website. Local gaming stores can sign up through it, so you can find a place to go to. They're really asking for you to support, to host games, to go to your community center, really wherever you want to host some games, but to really bring tabletop gaming into, more of the mainstream and just get people accustomed to it.
Yeah.
Cool. I think that's awesome, and I think we're going to try to do something with that, which I think will be really cool. Something that we've really, been enjoying. Today I went out for an early dinner, and we were talking about Cards Against Humanity, explaining the game to a bunch of people, and just how great that game is itself. So
also awful it is.
Awful, but so fun. So check out Tabletop Day, I think it is. They're doing all their hashtags and things like that. They have a website set up for it. So check that out. And if you're looking for something to do on March 30th, grab a couple friends, get a board game yourself, go to your local gaming store, and really, really try to play that. So I think it's a cool initiative that they're taking on.
Definitely. It's something we haven't talked a lot about on this show, but we want to get more into. And
absolutely.
Whatnot. So, we'll be back on Thursday. We're going to be talking about Crisis 3, new game. We're back in some video games, some really fun games coming up next couple weeks. So make sure you check back for that. And thanks for watching this episode. We'll see you next time.